is Maki. Are you enjoying the Gundam series? I've come from Japan to share the fun of the Gundam series with you all. Do you like narratives where robots identical to the protagonists play an active role? Such scenarios occur in the Gundam series as well. For popular models, Gundam Unicorn features BANSHEE, the second unit of the Unicorn Gundam, in the spin-off side story The Blue Destiny Gundam Blue Destiny Units 1 and 2 end up in opposition. All these narratives are pretty cool, right? This time I will introduce a same type unit as the protagonist that appears in Gundam Seed. This unit is called Strike ROUGE. It's a model identical to the Strike Gundam piloted by the main character. However, it's not just a simple identical unit to a second unit. Its origin story differs from that of the BANSHEE and Blue Destiny Unit 2, which were produced by the same organization. Now, let's start the exposition of the Strike ROUGE. MBF-02 Strike ROUGE, please launch. The Strike ROUGE is a prototype mobile suit developed by Elves Monroe Inc. in the world of Gundam Seed. OV maintained a position of neutrality. However, in the face of the large-scale war unfolding between the Earth Alliance and Zaft, they plan to build their own military strength. In reality, OV's reason for assisting in the development of the Earth Alliance's GAT-X series was to steal the technology. While assisting in the development, all began to create their own mobile suit. Astray, however, they were unable to acquire the information on phase shift armor as it was black boxed, and developing the software for controlling the mobile suit, like the GAT-X series, was a significant challenge. In the midst of this situation, a stroke of luck arrived for OV. A request for support came from Archangel, which was severely depleted after combat with Zaft. They gave support to Archangel when it visited OV, and succeeded in obtaining the data of the software created by Kiro Yamamoto in the Strike Gundam. Moreover, OV provided support when the Strike Gundam was heavily damaged in the fight against the Aegis Gundam. In response to Archangel's request, OV undertook the search for the pilot and the recovery of the damaged Strike. As a result of this mission, OV successfully obtained the Strike Gundam. Parts from the Aegis Gundam were not retrieved. The details of this are not explicitly explained. There are various interpretations that it was sufficient to just recover the Strike Gundam, or they wanted to avoid trouble by not retrieving Zaft's property, even though it was forcibly taken. From my personal interpretation, the Strike Gundam is the latest model of the GAT-X series. It has a humanoid mobility, many technical commonalities with the M1 Astray, and is equipped with the Striker Pack operating system. OV might have intended to plagiarize the technology of the Strike Gundam from the development stage. In this way, OV successfully obtained the Strike Gundam under the pretext of responding to a formal request. Moreover, they manufactured a large amount of spare parts under the guise of assisting in repairs. The Strike ROUGE is a mobile suit born from these spare parts. This background information might have changed some people's impressions of OV. Their actions were not simply out of goodwill to save lives. Still, it's impressive how daring they were to steal the technology of the cutting-edge and top-secret mobile suits of another country, produce a Gundam that looks almost the same, and even name it nearly the same. Depending on the situation, the existence of the Strike ROUGE could even be a trigger for war. Although its basic structure is the same as the Strike Gundam piloted by Kiro, some parts have been replaced with high-performance ones, and improvements have been made. Particularly noteworthy is the newly developed power extender, a large-capacity battery pack. This extended the operating time and improved the energy conversion efficiency. Following the proposal of the support artificial intelligence described later, it was decided to use more energy for the phase shift armor. As a result, the armor strength increased, and as a side effect, the color of the armor also changed to a red hue. This red body color is the basis for the name ROUGE. Moreover, the technology to adjust the amount of energy used in the armor laid the technical foundation for the later developed variable phase shift armor. The Strike ROUGE is equipped with a pilot-assist artificial intelligence. It's a remarkable system capable of assisting the pilot's operations and even automating evasion maneuvers. All excels in technology utilizing artificial intelligence, which is used in the development of mobile suit technology. This pilot-assist artificial intelligence was born from that technology. It also uses technology from the Jung Guild appearing in the spin-off works, with data from the pseudo-personality computer being utilized. This artificial intelligence supported Kaguri's piloting and achieved the result of surviving the Yakindu battle, the most intense and final battle in the Gundam Seed story. The mobile suit controls software for Nautilus was completed with data obtained from Kiro Yamato of Chaos. This software was originally developed by the Earth Alliance at Heliopolis. This software incorporated into Strike ROUGE will be installed in other mobile suits manufactured by ROUGE. The completed Strike ROUGE was determined to be the machine piloted by Kaguri Uraather, who became the leader of ROUGE. This decision was made with the intention of boosting the morale of the old-born soldiers fighting alongside her to indicate that it was Kaguri's machine. It was decided to depict her personal mark, a lion holding a Casablanca flower on it. The main body of the Strike ROUGE is essentially the same as the Strike Gundam. Consequently, the same fixed weapons are equipped on the machine. The head part is equipped with a Vulcan gun named Eagle Stalin. A knife called Armor Schneider is also equipped at the waist. Additionally, it can use striker packs. In the story of Gundam Seed, only the Arrow Strike was used, since it can theoretically use other striker packs when appearing in video games and the like. You can also confirm its appearance equipped with other Sword Striker or Launcher Striker packs. The Strike ROUGE equipped with the Arrow Strike is essentially the same state as the Arrow Strike piloted by Kira. However, some materials suggest that the power of the beam rifle has increased due to improved energy efficiency. Furthermore, in the sequel Gundam Seed Destiny, improvements are made to the Arrow Striker. The Arrow Striker was originally equipment that did not have the ability to fly. It could suitable for melee combat using jumping and gliding, but it could not perform free flight. However, in Gundam Seed Destiny, it is possible to fly when equipped with the Arrow Striker. Let's check out the other striker packs. In this program, we will introduce the striker packs that appeared in the TV anime. First, let's learn about the IWSP. IWSP is an abbreviation for Integrated Weapons Striker Pack. It was developed with the aim of integrating the mobility of the Arrow Striker, the melee ability of the Sword Striker, and the firepower of the Launcher Striker into one. However, with many problems such as soaring costs and increasing power consumption, it initially did not reach practical use. The IWSP was completed along with the Strike ROUGE, with the successful implementation of the power extender, which provided a stable operating time. The completed IWSP was decided to be mounted on the Strike ROUGE. This decision was greatly influenced by Kaguri's request as she wanted to use it because it looked powerful. However, the fire control system was too complex, and the pirate Kagari year after couldn't handle it well. Later, the IWSP was deployed in actual combat as an exclusive equipment for the Ace in the Earth Alliance Army. The data from this was then used for the development of new weapons. So, what kind of armament is equipped? Firstly, there's the 150mm railgun. It's an extremely powerful weapon thanks to the high-precision aiming sensor installed near the barrel. The accuracy of the super long-distance shooting is also very high. There are documents suggesting that bullets are fired at the speed of pigeons per second. It used to be a weapon that consumed a lot of energy, but with the compression of the power extender, the energy issue was resolved. However, it is an equipment that adversely affects the balance of the unit due to its large size. Next is the 100mm single cannon. It's the equipment you see around the shoulder of the strike root. It might look plain compared to the railgun, but it's also a very powerful equipment. The caliber of the rifle, the main weapon of the Jing, the main mobile suit of the Zaft Army is 76mm. This weapon alone has enough power for mobile suit combat. For close combat, it also carries a 9.1-meter anti-ship sword. Unlike the Schwartgear used in Sword Strike Gundam, this weapon doesn't generate a beam blade. In explanations like model kit manuals, it's described as a weapon made of special alloy that produces a cutting-edge second only to a beam blade. It's an effective weapon not only against mobile suits, but also against the armor of warships. It's a powerful weapon as well, but it negatively affects the balance of the unit due to its enormous weight. In addition, the combined shield, a weapon that integrates a weapon and shield, is also a noteworthy equipment. It carries a 36-barrel Gatling gun and a beam boomerang. The Gatling gun is a weapon capable of firing 8,000 rounds per minute. It's characteristic that there is no clear description of the bullets being fired. This equipment is often treated as a beam weapon when it appears in games. Bullets are made of a very strong metal named titanium carbide steel. This weapon shifts the center of gravity significantly to the left of the unit, making it very difficult to handle. In Gundam Wing, Trollbarton pilots the Gundam HEAVYARMS, which is equipped with a Gatling gun of a very heavy weight. On the same left arm, he pilots the Gundam HEAVYARMS freely with his own piloting skills, without the support of software Kagari, who has demonstrated enough skill to survive the War of Gundam Seed, found it difficult to execute the same technique. Of course, it might be unkind to compare Kagari, a novice mobile suit pilot, with Troll, who has undergone extensive training to attack a large organization alone. The combined shield is also equipped with a beam boomerang. It's essentially the same as the one equipped in Soul Strike. With these equipments, the IWSP demonstrates extremely high combat capabilities. However, as a result of several training sessions, Kagari decided to forego using it in actual combat. It was decided to deploy it in actual combat, equipped with the Arrow Striker, at Kagari's request. Did you think the IWSP was a useless weapon? That's not the case. In the spin-off work Mobile Suit Gundam Seed C-73 Stargazer, it is used by Sven Kalbane. However, he is a natural, but he has piloting skills surpassing those of a coordinator. He's also a person with extremely high combat capabilities due to mind-chopping and brainwashing education. Comparing him and Kagari might also be unkind. The IWSP, which was not deployed in actual combat in the story of Gundam Seed, is equipped in the Strike Rouge in ceremonies held in Europe after the war. You can check the situation in the opening of Gundam Seed Destiny. Displaying the Strike Rouge, which was produced by stealing technology from the Earth Union Army's top-secret project. The ceremony might be a little risky, don't you think? In the HD remastered version of Sea Destiny, a striker pack by the name of Otori was introduced. This is a new type of weapon that ROUGE designed and developed independently based on the data from the IWSP. It was developed to improve balance issues, complexity in weapons control, and maintain. A notable feature is the X-shaped wings. The appearance of the aircraft suggests that it might even be able to destroy the Galactic Empire's massive planet-destroying weapon. It has also gained advanced flight capabilities in gravity. Additionally, the Otori Striker Pack is equipped with a pod that serves as the nose, which can be deployed to allow the pack to operate independently. There were scenes depicted of Kira using the Otori equipment and launching the Striker Pack independently. Furthermore, it is designed so that the Otori has additional connection points that can be equipped with more Striker Packs. This feature was not used in the story. In a further development of the Otori, the Owashi equipment of the later appearing Atsuki was developed. Let's take a look at the armaments of the Otori. First is the railgun equipped on the left movable arm. Surprisingly, this railgun has the power to pulverize phase shift armor. Of course, its destructive power against regular armor is also impressive. Next is the high output beam launcher on the right. Just like the railgun on the left, it possesses high destructive power. Long range is also a feature. By switching between a powerful beam weapon and a physical bullet weapon, the Otori demonstrates combat capability adaptable to all situations. Next is the missile launcher installed on the left side of the Otori's upper part. This can also be swapped with a machine gun or electronic warfare equipment depending on the situation. Furthermore, the large anti-ship sword on the upper right side is another cool weapon. Unlike the IWSPs, it was changed to a type that generates a beam blade, and the number was also changed to 1. This made it possible to fight in a shielded state. In the scenes where Kira used it in Sea Destiny, he was able to survive against tough opponents, albeit with difficulty. This is a good example of the beneficial effects of a change that prioritizes defense. Moreover, 3 small missiles are also equipped on the mounting points under the wings. Kira used them to cause confusion when he rushed into enemy lines. Inside the missiles, you can see something similar to the drop tanks equipped on actual combat aircraft. I found a description that it is a support system equipped with Mirage Colloid, but I was unable to find any more details. When it appeared in the game, there were no depictions of it firing missiles in particular. In the HD remastered version of Gundam Sea Destiny, the Strike Rouge goes into battle equipped with the Otori. The scenes where Kira uses it are also major moments of action. Let's delve into the on-screen accomplishments of the Strike Rouge. In Seed, the Strike Rouge was still under construction. When ROUGE capitulated to the Earth Alliance, the mobile suit was completed on the Kurashi, an old battleship that had relocated to space. After about a month of assembly work, astonishingly, its first combat deployment was during the Battle of Jak and Do, one of the largest scale battles in Gundam Seed. Incredibly, Kira and the Strike Rouge were drawn into a battlefield against both the Earth Alliance forces and Zaft. This may seem recklessly challenging, But given that the unit of Laos Crime is an extremely small organization, they had to throw all their forces into the fight. Ultimately, the Strike Rouge survived alongside Cavalry, while its opportunities for significant action were few. The Strike Rouge protected Kiro's life in the most dire of battlefields. In Sea Destiny, the Strike Rouge continued to serve as Kiro's beloved mobile suit, mainly equipped with the Air Striker in the televised version. As mentioned earlier in their remastered version, it was changed to the Uktoi Striker pack. There were scenes where it appealed to the orc forces in the chaotic battlefield and protected civilians from attacks. Although it didn't have much prominent action in combat, the Strike Rouge, recognized as Kiro's exclusive suit, moved the hearts of all soldiers. Then, to aid the besieged Eternal, Kira borrowed and used the Strike Rouge from Kira at that time. The mobile suit control software was adjusted to the same settings as Kira's original strike. The energy used for the armor was adjusted, and a method was chosen to enhance the performance and weapon output of the mobile suit. As a result, the color of the suit changed to the same state as the original strike. However, only the phase shift armor changed, so the color of the camera is still in the green state of the Strike Rouge in Gundam Seed. The camera of the Strike Gundam that Kira holds is yellow. During atmospheric departure, it was equipped with a dedicated booster unit, the Strike Booster, and headed for the rescue of the Eternal. The battles depicted here were incredibly powerful, while the audience's attention is strongly drawn to the Strike Freedom that appears later. The accomplishments of the Strike Rouge are also remarkable. As an important piece of information to confirm, the Strike Rouge is already an obsolete mobile suit. The opposing Zaku Warrior is a mobile suit, with specifications surpassing the Strike Gundam. The Golf Ignited, a higher ranked unit than the Zaku Warrior, is also on the battlefield. Furthermore, pay attention to the enemy pilots. What do you think? They are pilots wearing red pilot suits. However, that's not the only thing worth noting. Observe the design of their helmets. These are not the designs used in the era of Sea Destiny, but the ones used in the time of Sea. That's right. There is a very high possibility that they are pilots who survived the Battle of Jak and Do. Let's examine the course of the battle. Initially, all missiles from the Strike Rouge are launched simultaneously. The attack target is not explicitly described, but there's a high likelihood that it aimed at Zack's battleships. Evidence for this is seen in how Zocus and Dukes are simultaneously attacking and destroying the missiles. If the missiles were targeting them, they should just evade and head to intercept the Strike Rouge. However, they intercepted the missiles. As they intercepted the missiles, Kiro seized the opportunity to swiftly approach. This is because being surrounded by multiple opponents puts him at a severe disadvantage. When he approaches, the Zacht mobile suits are limited in their firing as they risk hitting their own. In the midst of the chaos, he even manages to toss and hand off a beam rifle to Gaia Gundam. While confirming the enemy's positions, he also checks on his allies' conditions before taking action. There is also a scene where the weapon of Strike Rouge is blocked by Zaku. It's clear from these scenes that the weaponry is becoming outdated. There are further instances where the shield and arm gets destroyed when blocking Zaku's beam cannon. While there are many materials explaining that Zaku's performance exceeds Strike's, we can confirm this fact from the specifics of this battle. It's clear that Zaku is equipped with a beam cannon that can't be fully defended against, even with appropriate defense. But Kira's skills are also incredibly high. He anticipates the direction of Zaku's beam cannon attack and uses the separated Utoi to protect the Eternal. Judging that he wouldn't make it in time with strike equipped, he chooses to separate instantly. The number of enemies is noteworthy. After Strike Freedom appears, the Zaft commander speaks of 25 mobile suits being incapacitated by Strike Freedom. And Kira has incapacitated 8 mobile suits with Strike ROUGE. Here again, Kira is making his moves by destroying armaments or propulsion systems to incapacitate. Backfield, piloting the Gaia Gundam, has destroyed 4 units. The Eternal has also taken down 1 Zaku. These are the counts that can be confirmed on screen. There may be more units appearing in reality. Also, I am only counting the units that have been incapacitated by Strike ROUGE. For instance, the Zaku whose beam cannon was destroyed first isn't counted since it immediately discarded the cannon, and the unit itself is still intact. Depending on the viewer, these numbers might vary. According to my count, it turns out they were assaulted by 38 enemy units. In the early part of Gundam Seed, Kira fought against the 4 ace pilots including Afran. This situation is far more intense than that. We can see that without Kira's skills, survival would have been impossible. Scenes where pilots face off against a large army of mobile suits superior to their own, piloted by ace pilots, are relatively rare in the Gundam series. The one that comes to mind is probably the battle with Jinx in Gundam 00. However, that fight was 2 Gundams against 26 Jinxes and the Gundam Throne's Wii. In Gundam Wing Endless Waltz, there is a scene where they face off against over 250 new mobile suits, the Serpents with only 5 units. However, the pilots in this battle are not the ace pilots in Zaft's red uniforms. As Joe Barton points out, they are merely puppets being used by the mastermind, lacking any real resolve. The Strike ROUGE ends are battered, but it's a miracle that Kira was safely delivered in it. The Strike ROUGE played a prominent role as a Gundam piloted by Kager. Interestingly, Kiji Shimomura, the staff member responsible for its design, originally considered a different debut for it. The introduction of the Strike ROUGE was decided quite some time before the broadcast of the show. However, its role was temporarily put on hold without being finalized, and it was eventually decided that it would appear in the later part of the story. There were some interesting ideas among the potential roles. Screenwriter Seiki Murasawa had thought about making Frey Ulster the pilot. The fact that the main color of the Strike ROUGE is red is because of this. Moreover, planned to make Frey the pilot for this reason. Many of the female pilots in the Gundam series are burdened with past sins and forced to fight. The experience of losing a father on the battlefield is something that Quest Power from Charles' counterattack has gone through. She unknowingly destroyed the battleship her father was aboard, an unwitting sin. In terms of the red mobile suit, Chimigra Hao from 0083 Stardust Memory is also notable. She carries the terrifying sin of having gassed civilians. Under the deception of her homeland, she betrays her own people, the remnants of the Zen forces, and allies herself with the Earth Federation forces. Keijia Luz, who appears in Victory Gundam, is known as a terrifying woman in the Gundam series. But upon closer inspection, her character is not merely terrifying. She becomes frustrated with the adults who flatter the young protagonist and send him to the battlefield. After being taken prisoner by the enemy nation and witnessing the gentlemanly behavior of the people, she becomes a soldier. Unfortunately, she ends up with an unstable personality due to the brainwashing and terrifying experiences on the battlefield. Frey, who was initially approaching Kira with the intention to use him, but found herself attracted to him, might be similar to Kagir. That could mean that Strike Rouge would have ended up being an antagonist to Kira. I would have liked to see how that story unfolded. This concludes the explanation for this time last read. I want to share an important piece of information with you. The subscribe button is right in front of your eyes. By pressing that button, you'll find yourself piloting the Strike Rouge equipped with the Strike Booster, ignite the engine with the like button, and launch with the bell button. Hurry up right now! The spaceship Eternal is under attack by Zacht's elite forces and is in a desperate situation. You're the only one who can save it. I wish you good luck. Let's meet again when you're safe.